Welcome to Salon Talks. I am Mary Elizabeth Williams, and this icon is Judith Light.
God,
You are literally an icon, right? You won the Variety Icon Award. You're a certifiable icon, Judith. You're an Emmy winner,
thank you very, very much, and thank you,
Emmy
Variety.
winner, Tony
Right.
winner, Glad Media Award winner. Maybe you first got to know her through her indelible 8 seasons on Who's the Boss. I go back even further because we were a One Life to Live family when I was growing up. The Love in the Afternoon train we were on. You might also know you from Ugly Betty, Transparent, more recently, Julia, Shining Vale, which is amazing. The Politician. Now she is co starring with Ralph Fiennes, Anya Taylor-Joy, Nicholas Hoult, a million other people who are fantastic in the twisty new drama, The Menu. Hi, Judith. Good morning. How are you?
Hello, good morning to you.
It is so difficult to talk about this film, Judith, because there
I
are
know.
so many surprises that we don't want to give away. But I did see that Variety called it a restaurant thriller, which I like as a genre. I want you to tell me how you describe the movie and tell me a little bit about your character.
I think that's a perfect description of it. It's a restaurant thriller. Actually, we were at this SAG event last night, and Anya said something that I thought was really remarkable. She said, in this movie, every single person is hungry. And that really defines a lot of what goes on, that each person has their own hunger, their own longing, their own need. And you really, it's not spelled out. There's not a lot of exposition, but you really begin to understand who these people are. And you have to be reminded, I think that all of us do, how much as a society we strive to be in the in crowd. We strive to be in the A list. We have to be at the best restaurant. We have to be the top person. And it's all about superiority. And this movie is really, it's a comedy, it's a horror, it's a drama. In places, it's terrifying. In places, it's exciting and incredibly humorous. But at the core of it is the message of who are you and how will you live before you die? And I think that really defines a whole element of this film that I find incredibly compelling.
Yeah, and what is your story, right? Because
What is your, yes,
that's
what,
what these characters come together to figure out and to parse out is what is the story that we are participating in and what is the narrative.
right. And will we participate or will we not participate? And so when you have a script like this that Seth and Will wrote that's so extraordinary, but you have to fill in all the blanks. And one of the things we were talking about last night was the sense of what will there be room for the audience? So in other words, you don't spell everything out. It's very unusual in that way, so that everybody who's watching this has to put what their feelings are, what their thoughts are, what the way they're living. And so while you're being entertained, at the same time, you have this opportunity to be let in as an audience in a way that few films actually can do. And I think this is its own genre,
It's a restaurant thriller.
right?
It's the new genre. And I love that you come to these different revelations about characters at different points and you have to keep reassessing who you think these people are and what
That's
their
right.
motivations are, and it keeps changing. And one of the things that I think makes this movie so watchable is you have so many theater heavyweights in it. I can't believe the theatrical talent in this movie. You, Janet McTeer, John Leguizamo, Ray Fiennes. It's a movie that also takes place
And
seemingly in almost in real time, and I'm wondering what you think that you as an ensemble coming from that theater background brought to the chemistry of playing with each other as actors.
I don't know that our theater background brought the chemistry. I I know that Mark Mylod, our director, really filmed this like a play. So we were with each other all 12 to 14 hours a day of shooting. So Mark was using everybody to film. So you're watching a 360 view of everybody else's point of view on someone else. The brilliance of this is the editing, so that Mark was telling this story through the eyes of everyone. You also have a Tony Award winner, heavyweight, who plays my husband, my good friend Reed Birney. So the way theater actors work or know, what you know is that you're an ensemble. And a lot of times you do a film and you don't see people from scene to scene. You do stuff and then you show up and you see the film and you say, oh gosh, I didn't know they were in the film. I didn't know that they were doing that. But the real essence of this is this ensemble. And perhaps it is the theater background that so many of us have, or the working that we do in the theater. But I think it's also who these people were and how Mark picked each person, because that really carried with it a kind of understanding and weight to the film, that he knew that we could fill in the blanks and that he would help us do that. He would be our support in doing that. So it was a lot of different pieces. And when you have those kinds of people working that have worked in the theater, you know that you're a team. And that's not always the case when you're doing film or television work.
You have done so many different kinds of things, and you always seem to be drawn to or choosing these really interesting ensembles to be a part of. And so much of your work relies on the chemistry of that group, as opposed to being just a kind of a one person or two person vehicle. And when I look at your career, I see so many groundbreaking roles, so many groundbreaking characters. Is that something that has evolved for you? I look at these stories that were really the first of their kinds, whether it's Who's the Boss or Transparent or Ugly Betty or any of the other stories that you've been a part of for a long time. Is that something that you choose because you're also an advocate and an ally and an activist?
I choose from the place of, I have a great team, great management, great agents, great publicists, great hair and makeup people.
You look amazing.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's really them. I swear to God. You should have seen me this morning when I came in. But the point is that I use my team. I get guidance from them on everything. I make my own decisions, but I get guidance from everyone. I use my intuition as to where, who will I be working with? What does the script tell me? Is this a story that will be something that I will learn from in my own life? And will this be something that will serve an audience? Will they be curious about it? Will they be compelled by it? So a lot of it goes into the choice making. And so many people the team goes into the choice making as well. So you can't just be a solo person moving through your work or your career. It has to come together in all aspects of that. And so a lot of these things were groundbreaking. And yes, I am an advocate, but it's really interesting. You talk about Transparent, and Joey Soloway, who was the creator, that genius, there was a whole time when I had a conversation with them. It was a dialogue, and I was doing a play in New York, and Joey and I never talked about the piece so much. We didn't talk about Transparent. We talked about our advocacy. And it was out of that they chose me to be a part of Transparent. But I didn't set out to do that. It wasn't sort of a calculated thought. But the minute that I spoke with Joey, I knew that it was something that I really wanted to do. So there's a lot of different, stops on the way to making the choice for something like that ends up being groundbreaking. And
Yeah, and
sometimes,
yet,
the universe just gives you these lovely things, and you say yes to them.
and yet I know that you have said that you see part of your role as a performer as educating people, and that does seem to be part of the story of your career at every step along the way.
I don't set out to educate people. I don't think I think people want to be entertained. I don't think anybody wants to be educated. If you learn something in the process of it, that's great, but that's never been my context. It's always, how will I illuminate something? Will I elevate something? Will I inspire something through this piece of work that I'm a part of? Because it's like, will you serve the piece? And then will you serve your audience? So it's all about, comes all down to food and restaurants anyway. What are you serving? You know,
It's all serving.
right? But
Absolutely.
that's the point. I mean, as a human being, we're all in a service industry. That's what we're here to do. We're here to serve each other. Here to support each other. We're here to be a part of each other and part of a team. And then again, it goes back to the question of this film. It's like, who will you be and how will you live? How will you live your life? What are the choices that you will make that will elevate or bring something down?
Yeah, and what I also love about the film is it really integrates this idea of serving, but also the theatricality of food and the ways in which food is also a performance. And it all kind of comes together with the characters and what the food they're eating literally represents, right? They see themselves in this food. I want to ask you, because it seems like in the past couple of years you have gravitated in a direction that's been exploring horror in things like AHS and Shining Vale and this, which is a thriller. Is that something that is kind of a newer interest of yours, or something that you've always wanted to do and now you have a different space to pursue?
It came to me. And the character was fascinating. The team was fascinating. The script was fascinating, not the right word. Compelling, exciting, resonated for me. Had no idea. You talk about Shining Vale, which is on Stars. Uh, I wouldn't. I that came to me. Jeff Astroff brought that to me. I was like, but what it's really dealing with is women and menopause, women and mental illness. So there was something else that was tied to it, that it's not just this genre and it's horror and it's drama and it's comedy. It has a substantive level that matters to me, and it matters to me in talking about it in the marketing of it, so that we really use the vehicle of the work that we do in order to talk about these other issues. And women in mental illness, anybody and mental illness, it's an issue in our country and around the world, and something that we have not dealt with in a way that's powerful enough to make sure that people are not sidelined, abused, shut off from a society, that there's an understanding and a compassion and a kindness around that. So it wasn't the horror of it, it just hasn't been that for me. It's just like, and this script, all of it, I really wanted to work with Mark. And then I saw all the other people that were involved, and it was just like, oh, so this is also a horror movie at the same time. It's terrifying and funny and completely entertaining. I think audiences are going to love it.
And I love that. I think horror and thrillers can be that conduit into these difficult conversations, as you say, about mental illness or about stability. And as you point out, Shining Vale is also about aging and the ways in which we treat women in our culture. And as an aging woman, being seen then as the crazy woman, as the mad woman, right? That women get marginalized as they get older. You, however, have said that you are coming into, and I'm quoting, the best years of my life. I want what you have, Judith. Tell me, what does best mean to you now at this point in your life, professionally, creatively, personally?
Um, that you talk about women and aging and how women are sidelined, and something that is really means a tremendous amount to me is one's ownership of the years, the experiences, the aging. I don't hold it as aging. I hold it as gaining wisdom. I'm if I'm the same as I was yesterday, then I'm not really learning anything. So it's not just the best time of my life, it's this moment. So it better be the best. You know what I mean? These are the crone years. These are the wise years. These are the gathering of the experiences through time. And the way that people relate to me around the way I choose to live or the choices that I make, the response has been really generous and gracious. And I mean, yes, I know that we talk about women and aging in Hollywood, and it's a conversation that's still happening. But it's like, where will we put our focus? How will we, again, goes back to the same thing, the same context. How will we live? Who will we be? Where are we putting our energy that either supports us, feeds us, is a gift to people around us, or a gift to the people who watch us? So it's a moment. It's a moment. If you're in this moment, and I know it sounds like, oh my God, we've heard it a million times, just like be in the now, be in the now. It's like right now, there's nothing else except you and me and all of my fabulous friends here. But it's like, this is it. This is all we have. And if you're not embracing that fully, and so that's the way I feel now in my life more than ever. And I would say that that's probably what makes it best, that I'm more in the moment as much as I can be.
That's very cool, and also comes, I imagine, out of a lot of practice and learning how to do that as well as you are doing it right now.
You gotta practice. It's a muscle. I mean, the programmed mind will take you away. It'll drag you down to a place where you don't want to be. And it's like, if you can just stay aware for a moment and say, oh, right, I'm not present. I'm not present. So what do I have to do? And that's so for the work, but it's especially true for life.
Yeah.
Where am I right now? Yeah.
Dude, I have to ask you, this is a movie about food, about foodies, about food culture. I want to know because I know reading some other interviews from you, you lead a pretty healthy lifestyle. You lean mostly vegetarian, slightly vegan. What is your dream meal? If you were going to a place like Hawthorne and having the ultimate meal, what would it be?
Pizza and ice cream.
Me too.
Without question. Pizza and ice cream. Okay. I mean, there's maybe a few other things thrown in. Pizza and ice cream.
Maybe
I
a
mean,
beer as well. Maybe.
I mean, it's like, okay, and I am a foodie, and I've always been a foodie, and I cook. My husband cooks. My husband's an amazing cook. Amazing. Um, I mean, I was talking to somebody yesterday. I have gourmet magazines from 1976. I mean, it's like, I would just read about food. I have copious cookbooks. Um, I don't know. It was just, we had a restaurant in Aspen, Colorado, in 2008. And I mean, there's this food culture, but there's something about it that's beyond food. Like you said, it's not just the food. It's what is the nurturing? How do we learn to nurture ourselves? And that's another thing that I think is present in this film. None of these people have nurtured their souls. They've only thought about how they can make it in the world and be on the A-list. And it's an empty pursuit. And
As you
that's part
say,
of what you see in this, right?
yeah, you say that leaves them hungry. Okay, I have to ask you one more question because you are in this movie that's a little scary to say the least, and yet you say you've never played the ingenue. You always play these very strong, courageous characters. Judith, is there anything in the world that scares you?
Everything. What do you mean, does anything scare me? Everything scares me. I just like, life is so fragile. We are so vulnerable. And when you're in touch with that, it's like things scare you. And then you say, oh, watch yourself. What do you What are you scared about? And if you stay in the moment and you just take one step after another, don't doesn't have to overwhelm you. And even if I'm scared about something, I do something anyway. I mean, years ago, I hadn't been on stage in 22 years, and I took a part in a play where I had to shave my head and be bald and be naked on stage. And it's this beautiful play written by this gorgeous, amazing woman, Margaret Edson, and it won the Pulitzer Prize. And it was called Wit, and it was about a woman dying of 4-stage ovarian cancer. And I thought, I can't do this. First of all, they're not going to cast me. Second of all, and then they did, and I was like, no, 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 no. Do you live life with regret? Do you look back at your life and say, was I too scared to do something? Or do you do it? And then you find out that it's all okay, and you're okay, and you gained something remarkable from the experience. But everything scares me. Doesn't everything scare you?
All the time. Yeah, I have
Right.
kids. Yeah, I'm
You ask
terrified of the
anybody
world they live
in
in.
the dead of night, in their heart of hearts, are they scared? Of course we're scared. So what? Oh, you're
It's
scared.
yeah, it's about being scared, but then getting up in the morning and doing something anyway, in spite
Just
of it.
go. Just
Yeah,
go. Just
just
do it.
just go, and maybe along the way see some fun movies, right? And be
Go see
entertained.
go see the menu.
Go see the
Definitely.
menu,
Go
Judith.
see the menu.
What an absolute pleasure and privilege to talk to you. It is a joy to speak to you and to see the work that you're doing. You're one of those people who, whatever you're in, I know it's going to be amazing. Thank you so much for talking to us today. It's an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. The feeling is mutual.